Hola! Today in this lesson, we're going to talk about the verb ser. Ser means to be. But there's actually two ways to say to be in Spanish, ser and estar. We are not going to talk about estar in this video. We are only going to talk about ser. But first, I have a question for you. In English, can we say these sentences? I are smart. I are smart. You am smart. You am smart. Can I say that? No. It sounds crazy, right? In English, we would never say something like that. We know, if we're native English speakers, we automatically know that we're supposed to say, I am smart and you are smart. But what's the difference between those words? They both kind of mean the same thing, but they're basically just different versions of the word be, right? We're not supposed to say I to be smart, I are smart. No, we say I am smart. Those are called verb conjugations. We're basically changing, using a different version of a verb or a different version of something that means the same thing, but it sounds right. So we're going to learn how to do that in Spanish. For native English speakers, we automatically know that we should say I am and that you should say you are. But what if somebody doesn't know English? How could we help them learn? Well, a chart might help them out. Same thing in Spanish. There is something called a verb chart that helps people when they're trying to learn how to use verbs in Spanish. So let's take a look at it, and it will look very familiar if you remember what we saw when we were learning subject pronouns on the subject pronoun chart. So let's take a look at our verb chart for the verb ser, which means to be. Okay, so here we have our verb chart. The whole purpose of this chart is to help us know, if we're learning Spanish, which version of the word ser we should use. Because just like we said, if I say in English, I are smart, it sounds funny, right? People are like, what? That sounds funny. If in Spanish you were to say, yo eres inteligente, that would sound funny. That would sound strange to people who understand Spanish. But when we're learning, we're like, I don't know, they all sound the same. Who knows if it's yo es, tú, soy, I don't know, none of them sound right because we don't know what should go with which words. So the purpose of this chart is to help us be able to know. If you talk to someone who is a native Spanish speaker, they've known Spanish since they were little, or they went to a Spanish immersion school, or they moved to another country where they just were around Spanish, they maybe never ever have seen this chart before in their life. And honestly, they don't need to see this chart. We don't need this chart in order to learn Spanish or learn these verb conjugations. If we're just using it in context, and if we hear it enough times, your brain will automatically start to know which ones sound right, and then you will just begin acquiring that information. But if you are in a class that uses this verb chart, or if you are a student who likes to understand how things work, this is a really good way to help organize the information, and it's going to help us learn which versions should go with which pronouns. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to use this chart. Okay, so first of all, I want you to just notice that in each box, there is one black word here. There is one version of the verb ser. Now, do we remember what an infinitive is? If you want to know what an infinitive is, go watch that version or the video called infinitives, Spanish infinitives. But basically, an infinitive is a fancy word to say just the basic version of a verb. So in Spanish, ser is an infinitive. In English, to be is an infinitive. It's just like the basic version. But when I'm talking, I can't say I to be smart. I don't sound very smart if I say that, right? What would I say? I would say I am smart. Same thing in Spanish. You wouldn't say yo ser inteligente. It doesn't sound right. We would say yo soy inteligente. So what I want you to notice is that in this chart, there are 6 boxes and there are 6 versions of the verb ser. Now, if we take a look at these green words, these are subject pronouns. And the reason that some boxes have 3 pronouns in them is because each of these subject pronouns uses the same version of the verb. So for example, when you want to say I am, yo soy. When we want to say you are, tú eres. If we want to say he is, in Spanish, él es. She is, ella es. And we remember that in Spanish we have this another way to say you for when you're talking to someone, you're showing them extra respect, or you're being formal, you don't know them. Usted. In Spanish, we would also say usted es. That's why all 3 of these subject pronouns are in this box. Then we take a look over here. Nosotros somos. Nosotras somos. They're in the same box because they get the same version of the word. Vosotros sois. Vosotras sois. Y'all are. Y'all are nice. Vosotros sois inteligentes. Ellos son. They are. Ellas son. They are. But for a group of girls. Ustedes son. You all are. Ustedes son. Again, if you need a refresher on how to use these pronouns, go watch the video called Spanish Subject Pronouns Explained. Okay, but now we want to know, so what about when I want to use a name? Like, let's pretend that I was talking about somebody named John. And I want to say John is smart. And I'm like, John isn't on this chart. So how do I know what verb to use for is? For John is smart. How do I know which one to use? Well, now is where we're gonna use our thinking abilities. And think about, okay, well, when we're talking about John, if talking in English, we're talking about him, which pronoun would we use to replace John? If I wanna say John is smart, he is smart. And how do we say he in Spanish? Él. So that lets us know that John, if I was talking about John, I would use it with that verb. John es. Let's try another one. Let's pretend we're talking about somebody named Sarah. Okay, Sarah. Once again, Sarah's not on this chart, so how do we know which one to do? Well, we have to think about which pronoun could we use to replace Sarah's name? Well, if in English I'm like, Sarah is smart, Sarah is intelligent, she is intelligent. How do we say she in Spanish? Ella. Therefore, we would say Sarah es. And that's how you would say Sarah is. Okay, now let's try another one. Let's pretend that I was talking about Sarah and myself. So now I'm gonna say Sarah and I are smart. Okay, which in Spanish, Sara y yo. Now we wanna remember that this side of the chart is singular, one person. This side of the chart is plural, 2 or more people, okay? By the way, I apologize about this light reflection. I've tried to get rid of it and I can't, so sorry. If I don't have the light on, then you can't see the board, so sorry about that, you guys. Sara y yo. I automatically know it's not gonna be on this side because this is talking about 2 people. So it's gonna be something on this side of the chart. And if I were to think in English, okay, so if I'm saying Sarah and I are smart, What pronoun could I use to replace this? We. And how do you say we in Spanish? Nosotros. Or in this case, since Sarah and I are both girls, we would say nosotras. So that lets me know that if I'm wanting to use these words and I want to say Sarah and I are smart, I'm going to use that verb. I'm going to say Sara y yo somos inteligentes. So I hope this helped you figure out how to use this chart and also what the versions of ser are. To say I am, you are, he, she, usted, es, nosotros somos, vosotros sois, ellos, ellas, ustedes son. You know what? To help you out even more, I'm going to write in here what the equivalence would be in English. And a reminder, this is just talking about right now, the present tense. Okay, we're not saying I was smart. We're saying I am. We're not saying I will be smart. Nope. We're just talking about the present right now. I am smart. So let's fill in some of these English words to help you out a little bit more. All right, so we have those written down there for you. And once again, if you need some refreshers on what the difference is between some of these pronouns, go watch that video about subject pronouns in Spanish. One more thing I want you to know that's really cool about Spanish is that we don't always have to use the pronouns. So for example, if I want to say I am smart, yo soy inteligente, I don't have to say yo. I could just say soy inteligente. Because if we notice, for this one, is there any other pronoun that's going to use the word soy? No. The only pronoun that uses soy is yo. So therefore, we don't really even need to say yo. If I say soy, you automatically know that we're talking about myself. I am. Soy inteligente. Same thing for eres. You automatically know that it's talking about tú, so you don't really even have to use it. When you are using it in conversation and things like that, if we already know who you're talking about, like we already know you're talking about John, John es inteligente, es muy amigable también, he's very friendly also, maybe you don't have to keep repeating it because we already know who you're talking about. So just keep that in mind, that as you're learning these words and you're hearing them, you will notice that because, as humans, sometimes we get lazy and we're like, if I can say the same idea in less words, I'm gonna do it. Just like in English, we don't always say, I'm going to do it. We say, I'm gonna do it. Same thing in Spanish. We like to use the least amount of words possible in natural conversation. So you will oftentimes hear these words without the pronoun always included. So just keep that in mind. And if you've noticed, yes, now you understand a bilingual joke. Soy. Anybody drink soy milk? So is soy milk actually telling you it's soy milk, or is it just telling you I am milk? Soy milk. You get it? You get it? Okay. I'm done now. All right, so I hope this helped. Let me know if you have any questions, and adios. There is something to help you remember when you should use the verb ser. And it's that when you need to use ser, you gotta go to the doctor. What? Let me show you. Okay, this acronym is gonna help you remember when you should use the verb ser. Keep watching. Okay, so if you are talking about any of these topics and you want to use the words to be or a version of the word to be in Spanish, you're going to use ser. So if you want to say to be and you're talking about descriptions, occupations, characteristics, time, origin, relationships, you're going to use a version of the verb ser because ser means to be. Oh, one more thing. So when we're trying to remember which words go with which, songs help us a lot. And I'm going to be inviting a performer to my channel to sing a song that is going to help us learn these words. The person's name is Susana de Ser. Ella se llama Susana de Ser. Haters will say it's me in a costume, but whatever. So anyway, stay tuned for that video coming up, a song that will help you remember these words. Adios!